Hi, this is Kent with Move Up Endurance Coaching. In this video, I'm going to go over the equipment I used on a recent bike packing trip I took to Sedalia. This is the first bag I purchased. It is a Relevate, I can't remember, hold on. Relevate Designs Sweet Roll. This is the size large. So I went on their website and I did some research, and they said for the drop bar handlebars like I'm using here, that this bag would hang a little lower and get out of the way of the shifters and the cables. So I went with the large. What I found with this bag is that they give you, sorry, let me find this little piece. They give you these little spacers right here, and these spacers are meant to snug up to the handlebar and help it get away from the cables. And what I found is that with my lower position here, I was getting super close to the tire. So I only had, maybe that much space when I was looking at using this bag with the full spacers like they recommend. So I took out a spacer on each side, and it was better, but I was still gonna need a little extra security. So I'm gonna hook up this bag and just show you what it looks like just hanging there. Okay, so next up, inside that sweet roll, which I just snugged up to the bars there, I had a tent. This is a one-person Big Agnes UL1 with the optional, can't remember what it's called, it's a little tarp that goes underneath it. It's supposed to help keep out some of the rain and protect the tent from, rocks and twigs that might tear up the bottom of it. So I'm gonna go ahead and slide this thing in here so you can see what that looks like loaded up. Now, I used 2 bungee cords, and I attached the first one to my stem and around and back on itself. I actually don't know if this is necessary. We're gonna find this out now, because on the way home, I found if I strapped it to my handlebars just a little differently, that I didn't end up needing the second bungee, but I had it, so I put it on there anyways just for extra security. Now without the bungee, you can see that this thing, don't have it attached, does not have any clearance right now, so I had to tighten it up a little. Now I've got the tent in the sweet roll and it's secure. The next thing I needed to attach was my sleeping pad. This actually attaches to the sweet roll, which has a little flap here that you can strap more stuff to. So this is where, right here, these straps, I figured out if you attach it over the handlebar as opposed to under the handlebar, you get way more security. So I don't know if you can see the clearance in this video, but it's actually pretty good now. Before, I was not attaching these straps over the handlebar, so when I would hit a bump, especially with the suspension from the loud fork, I would end up getting a little bit of rub on the frame bag. It wasn't enough that I was worried about it starting to wear through the bag or really do a whole lot of damage for a short ride, but in the long term, definitely not ideal. So I had the second bungee, which may or may not be necessary. I don't want to go for a ride before just assuming I didn't need it on a longer trip. But I'm going to go ahead and attach it how I had it. There's 2 little places that you can hook into, and I just wrapped it around my stem right here, and it was very secure for the ride. Okay, so I have my tent, my sleeping pad. As you can see, everything is attached here very securely. I have about yay far clearance between the tire and the bags. That's enough. I never had any issues with it in 80 miles and went over some fairly rough terrain. Bunny hopped a couple curbs, no issues. So I can also shift here, no problem. Brakes, plenty of clearance. And even had a couple of hand positions. I actually found just laying my hand and letting my fingers stretch out on the pads was quite comfortable. I have a JBL 4 Bluetooth speaker, and this thing is waterproof, great sound. And I've got a toe strap, I think, pedal strap. I don't know what this is. I got this at a KC Gold Sprints or Street Sprints, not Street Sprints. KC Sprints, you know, those little roller races. They gave this to me because that's what, you know, prizes are there. Anyways, how I hooked this up, I wanted that music right there. I didn't want headphones in the whole day so I could hear nature, you know, turn it on and off, hear people when I was passing on the trail, because sometimes the Katy Trail gets busy. I'm going to strap this thing on so you can see what it looked like. Next up on the list, we have the Dark Speed Works feed bag. This thing just mounts into 2 bolts right here. There's no straps with the head tube. I looked at a couple of those options, but with my stem position not having any clearance there to wrap around, I decided I should go with just a 2-bolt option. I also figured, you know, that's the whole point of that 2-bolt design, is to not need other straps. So why would I buy a bag that has bolts and straps? This thing held a fair amount of food, not a ton, but I was able to get some sports chews, a backpacker puck. That's actually all I have in there right now. Next up, I've got a Revel 8 Designs frame bag. This is the small version. I think I might have been able to fit in here the medium version. The measurements I took, I think, were a little bit off. I'm not sure the medium was actually necessary because I had more than enough space in this small bag to fit in this side, this big open compartment. I had a handheld pump, I had a bunch of food, I had a knife, some multi-tools, just some general stuff that I knew I was gonna need for the trip. And the other side of this, there is a thinner compartment where I had my wallet, some charging cables, just some other basics that I was gonna need. This is a Revel 8 Designs Viscacha. This is no longer made, I believe. I think they switched to something called the Terrapin, which is a very similar concept, except they separated these 2 pieces. So now you get this base part, which would be like where the straps, everything attached to, and then you're gonna have a separate dry bag. So you can actually take that dry bag, load it, unload it, do everything you need to do with it, and then slide it back in and buckle it down. So go ahead and hook this bag up, and then I'm gonna load it with everything that I took in there. Alright, so that's really all there is to getting that on the bike. So what I actually brought with me, I had a pair of shoes, I have a small blanket, my rain jacket, wet wipes, never leave home without wet wipes. This thing, which was actually a lifesaver, this is called a mummy liner. It's a silk bag that you can basically put yourself in like a sleeping bag, and it helps keep the bugs off of you, and was surprisingly warm for how thin it was. My chamois butter cleaning kit, I have a little small bottle of skin wash, one of the chamois butter towels, and in case things got a little rough out there, some chamois butter. 2 tubes and a tire iron, a pair of shorts, a shirt, bug spray, which I did not need, fortunately, and just a little care bag with sunscreen, earplugs in case the campsite was real loud, ibuprofen, my toothbrush, some toothpaste, and I brought Tums. I never use Tums. Why would I bring Tums? Anyways, let's load this bag up and see what it looks like loaded up. Alright folks, so that's it. I have the large sweet roll with my sleeping bag and also my sleeping pad. I have a small frame bag and a top two bag with all my food and essentials. And then I have this Viscacha, which is fully loaded. Everything's loaded up on the bike. I'm ready for an adventure. If there's a couple things that I would change from this last time, it would be not taking Tums, because I don't need Tums. The second would be I would try and find an inflatable pillow, because using my blanket as a pillow worked until I got cold when a storm came through, and then I needed my blanket for warmth, and then I didn't have a pillow. Somebody just informed me that I could actually sleep with my helmet on. Doesn't sound terribly comfortable, but possibly a great idea. Might need to try that someday. Another thing that you can try, or I would change for this trip, would be venture out a little more. I think I stayed on the Katy Trail the whole time, and the Katy's fun, but it's a little lonely by yourself. It's a little boring, and I think getting off into some new terrain, something that requires a little more navigation, some up and down, some turning maybe, that'd be nice, would be a lot more interesting. The other thing is I went out with the intention of this kind of being a vision quest. I need to think through some things, and it provided me plenty of time to do that, but possibly too much time. After I was done with my vision quest for the day, I wanted somebody to talk to. So I think, bikepacking with some friends and then kind of going off solo for a bit, and then everybody hooking up to light a fire, have some beers, eat some food, would be probably my preferred way to do that in the future. I like people, and I also like riding alone. And I think I can combine the two next time for a really epic adventure. And now that I have the equipment to do so, I'm stoked for the next one. So let me know what you think of this video. Let me know about what you or any ideas that you have on bikepacking, and I'll see you out there.